If I told you that there is a group of self-styled humanitarians and philanthropists out there who formed a group calling itself the Lucifer Trust, you'd probably think I was nuts, having gone off the deep end into the weird territory of the weirder corners of the internet, and that I've really lost the plot. But that group exists, though they did change their name a few years ago to the Lucis Trust, and they're a very strange organization. But what does it matter? Because every name you hear mentioned frequently connected to the destabilization of society in the past few years is connected to it, and especially our billionaire philanthropist and former tech CEO that we've mentioned before, as is the foundation that bears his name. Yes, that man who peddles inoculations against tetanus in the third world that have a track record of sterilizing the women who get it. That specifically, though, is another topic for another day, but if you want me to do a video about the billionaire tech CEO philanthropist's work in Kenya and the response of the Kenyan Conference of Bishops there, let me know. It's a hair-raising case. But this group exists, and they exist out in the open. They just choose to not advertise their existence. But they can be found on the internet, and their plans are wrapped up in sweet-sounding words calling for human fraternity and the breaking down of human barriers. And they apparently figured out that their message is a little too weird for most people, so they attempted to scrub the internet of all references to a man they call the World Teacher or the New Christ. Yes, I said this would get weird, and by weird, I mean it looks like our billionaire tech CEO philanthropist might actually be some kind of an occultist. I know that's a strange accusation to make, but let's get into this. Now, this information was sent to me by a subscriber who pointed me in the direction of the work of the man who has been cataloging the tech billionaire's now secretive association with this group for years, Dean Arnold. I don't know his religious affiliation, but the information he has is solid. He has a post on his website backed up by a bunch of archived screenshots that the archives suddenly disappeared, but the screenshots he has on his own site. And he is quick to say that he doesn't necessarily think that our tech CEO is evil per se, just caught up in his own ideology and its really weird ideas, and is so to such a degree that he just brushes off counter-arguments like we all tend to do when it's inconvenient. But he goes on to say this on his own website, quote, "But somebody out there is cooking up evil, and how does one catch them? In my quest 10 years ago to dig up more on the former tech CEO, I learned that his foundation is a donor to the Lucis Trust, formerly the Lucifer Trust by some accounts. We will pursue that in a moment. Lucis Trust is headquartered at 866 United Nations Plaza and claims 6,000 members. The Lucis Trust website showed the tech CEO's foundation as a financial partner with a Lucis Trust subsidiary, the new group of world servers. The Lucis website says, quote, men of goodwill who cooperate form part of the new group of world servers, which is working to implement the plan, end quote. Yeah, the plan with a capital P. Mr. Arnold goes on to describe the plan as the trust lays it out, but I found their website, and I'm going to just tell you the plan or let them tell you the plan for themselves. At least part of the document, anyway. As you might expect, supervillain organizations and their self-praising documents get kind of long-winded. But here is the plan in the Lucis Trust's own words from their own website. Quote, the new group of world servers. Let us drop our antagonisms and our antipathies and think in terms of the one family, the one life, and the one humanity. Humanity is not following a haphazard or uncharted course. There is a plan. Humanity determines the speed of its own evolution and the fulfilling of its own destiny under the plan. The success of the plan depends upon the intelligent cooperation of all men and women of goodwill everywhere in the world. Men of goodwill who cooperate form part of the new group of world servers, which is working to implement the plan. The leaders of the new group of world servers are those who initiate and carry forward activities which benefit humanity as a whole. These leaders are known by their harmless, constructive, and inclusive qualities. They provide the vision and mold public opinion. Behind these leaders and the cooperating men of goodwill are the custodians of the plan, capital C and capital P, the inner spiritual government of the planet. Working in all the main fields of human activity and in all the countries everywhere in the world, the new group of world servers acts as a synthesizing factor within humanity and lays the foundations for right human relations and ultimate world unity. The new group of world servers needs a more widespread recognition, cooperation, and support in its work for humanity. Every one of us, therefore, can share in the action of the new group of world servers in the working out of the plan. The new group of world servers, the fact of their existence. Out of the medley of ideas, beliefs, and systems in the world, political, economic, social, and religious, two emerging patterns can be recognized. First, those people who cling to reactionary methods of finding and expressing truth, prefer obedience to authority, to clear thinking, and the self-imposed guidance of their own soul. Second, those who, while affirming the fundamental truths by which humanity has evolved, are sensitive to soul impression, and recognize that response to human need and spiritual unfoldment are the determining factors which will lead humanity into a new age of peace and plenty. These are the new group of world servers, whose outer expression are the men and women of goodwill. They belong to no one race, color, or creed, and realize that separative, competitive methods cause conflict and prevent the establishing of right human relations. The new group of world servers is not an organization. It has no headquarters, president, list of officers, or members. It has only servers of humanity, in every country occupied with the task of discovering and aiding all men and women of goodwill. Yeah, that sounds legitimately terrifying. If you think I've gone off the deep end, all the sources for this are on this source's blog at returntotradition.org. It's all there. But it gets worse, because not only are these maniacs pushing to unite everyone under the bonds of one government that ends all divisions, they are also a literal cult. Again, some screenshots for you here from the same source. These shots were taken from their website before they scrubbed it of all references to the following. Again, buckle up, because this is some satanic nonsense. Some thoughtful people decided it would be good to archive these websites, but again, even these web archives have disappeared, which does sometimes happen, and they've been scrubbed from the internet, but not before people could get screenshots of the archives and post them online. Quoting their old website. First, note the URL, lucistrust.org/goodwill/wg1.htm. Yes, this is their old website. The reappearance of Christ. This is a time of preparation, not only for a new civilization and culture in a new order of the world, but also for the coming of a new spiritual dispensation. Humanity is not following an uncharted course. There is a divine plan in the cosmos of which we are a part. At the end of an age, human resources and establishing institutions seem inadequate to meet world needs and problems. At such a time, the advent of a teacher, a spiritual leader or avatar, is anticipated and invoked by the masses of humanity in all parts of the world. Today, the reappearance of the world teacher, the Christ, is expected by millions, not only by those of Christian faith, but by those of every faith who expect the avatar under other names: the Lord Maitreya, Krishna, Messiah, Imam Mahdi, and the Bodhisattva. Glamour and distortion surround this central fact of divine response to human need. This is inevitable, but unimportant. The fact of transition into a new age is important. Preparation by men and women of goodwill is needed to introduce new values for living, new standards of behavior, new attitudes of non-separateness and cooperation, leading to right human relations and a world at peace. The coming world teacher will be mainly concerned, not with the result of past error and inadequacy, but with the requirements of a new world order and the reorganization of the social structure. World Goodwill distributes educational and informative literature on these themes. A world prayer, the Great Invocation, is distributed on a worldwide scale in many languages and dialects. World Goodwill also cooperates in organizing the annual World Invocation Day, with special focus on the use of the Great Invocation worldwide. End quote. As is obvious, I had to carefully rephrase some things there. As you might expect, some of these things are actually words that flag things, and we don't want that. But it gets better, because in an older archive from 1998, they lay it out almost completely. Quoting again. The reappearance of the Christ. Today, there is an increasing expectancy regarding the return of the world teacher, the coming one who will return to lead humanity into a new age and to a heightened consciousness. In fact, some claim that the Christ has already reappeared in the physical form and has been sighted in various parts of the world. Yet the teachings of the Tibetan master, given in the books of Alice Bailey, make it clear that humanity itself must first produce the conditions in consciousness and in world affairs essential to the eventual physical appearance of the Christ. When a measure of peace has been restored on earth, when sharing begins to govern economic affairs, and when churches and political groups have begun to clean house, the Christ will then be drawn into the arena of his work. The Christ will be known by the work he does, by the world influence he wields, and by his ability to work with and through every individual and every group. End quote. Like I said, this is some grade A weird stuff. More than a little weird. Strange how quickly we went from talking about the billionaire tech CEO and philanthropist's inoculations to essentially talking about the Antichrist, because that's who they're talking about, the man of sin, the false Messiah. Yes, the man who will persecute the remnant faithful for holding to the faith and objecting to his plan. But he's not alone there. Everyone's good friend, George S., is there too, another man whose name trips security alarms on the World Wide Web. The man who looks like he decided he wanted to go for the Emperor Palpatine facelift in his old age. That man, the one who uses his billions for destabilizing the world economy and the nations of the Western world with his direct funding of the destabilization efforts at tearing down the nation state. He's one of the funders, along with the Tech Billionaires Foundation. So to be clear, a group tied directly to looking for the new Christ is funded by the tech billionaire and the weirdo who is funding the destabilization of Christendom or Western civilization, if you prefer. We've gotten to some strange territory here, folks, and it's little wonder at this point that within the past couple of years, the tech billionaire and every other name was scrubbed from the Lucifer Trust website. I'd not want my name on there either if it was me. And those other groups, they all fund or are involved in the global push for sustainable development and the various United Nations plans like Agenda 2030. So there you go. The Lucis Trust was founded by Alice Bailey, and she was a literal occultist, quite literally. From Mr. Arnold's piece on his website, though I can't put the quote on the screen and you'll see why immediately. Quote, "The roots of the Lucis Trust trace back to a woman who is credited for inspiring the German World War II dictator's obsession with the occult, the 19th century author and occultist Helena Blavatsky, who discipled the founder of Lucis Trust, Alice Bailey. Blavatsky was a Russian immigrant and self-proclaimed levitating psychic who founded the occult and spiritualist movement called Theosophy, which became wildly popular, especially in Germany. She is widely considered the mother of New Age spirituality, as well as a touchstone in the development of World War II German political party paganism, and the chief popularizer of their logo, that is now a hate symbol, as a mystical symbol. The occult revival in Germany and in Europe in general in the late 19th and early 20th centuries led to a remarkable growth of theosophic lodges as well as other occult groups," writes author C.M. Vassy. He says there are parallels between Blavatsky's esoteric thought and the German dictator's racial ideology, and connects Blavatsky's cyclopean eye and the elevation of the German dictator's mythical race with themes later championed by the dictator. End quote. So now that we've gotten into some truly bizarre territory, I want to bring you back to the accusation leveled against the tech billionaire philanthropist. That his inoculations have a long history of sterilizing the poor, mostly indigenous people he gives them to around the world, usually with the full cooperation of the government there and usually ignoring the church, who almost always raises protests. I really should do that video on the case of Kenya. It's deeply disturbing for anyone with a conscience. I could go on, but I won't. Suffice it to say for now that no one with any sense of awareness should trust these people in the slightest, as some of their associates include the doctor on television advising the American president on this crisis. Comforting thought, I know. So what do you think of this? Are these people just neo-hippies who spent way too much time in their youth doing mind-altering drugs, and now in their middle and older age have decided to spend too much time at Holly weird and elite spirit parties of the cooking variety, and other than being weirdos are otherwise harmless? Or is there something more sinister going on? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, please. Things are getting weirder every day, and you are all in my prayers. Please pray for the church that she may stand up against this nonsense instead of getting caught up in it. And please, leave a like and maybe share this video with people who might be open to the weirder side of this crisis. Thanks for listening. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.